On now, and our next guest is literally fighting to save endangered species in Africa, and a caution that some of the images you're about to see may be distressing.
In Africa, a rhino is illegally poached every 15 hours. Some shot, others caught in wire snares with the body left to rot and only the horn removed. In 1960, there were 100,000 black rhinos roaming the earth. Today, there are only around 2,500. Last year, 448 rhinos were slaughtered, up from the previous years, and at this rate, they'll be extinct by 2031. That's where Damien Mander comes in.
We're a team. Okay, I'm in here. I don't want to see people getting left behind.
After serving as a clearance diver in the Royal Australian Navy before project managing the Iraqi Special Police Training Academy in Baghdad, Damien arrived in Africa at the start of 2009. And after seeing what was happening to the wildlife there, he realised that the skills he gained from the Australian military in Iraq could be transferred to a new front line, that of conservation, going head-to-head with poachers on a very different but incredibly important battlefield.
Let's welcome Damien Mander. What you're doing on the ground there?
Yeah, okay, so I arrived in Africa at the beginning of 2009 and just travelling around. Didn't really know where my next step was going to be. Naturally, it's, after leaving the military and being on a knife's edge, particularly being in Iraq for so many years, it's not always easy to transition back into normal life. And I was in Africa and I was moving through all these wildlife areas, these protected areas, and I was seeing what was going on. And I stepped back a bit and I had a look at the experience that I had and what I'd been through with the military in Iraq, and thought that we had something to offer. So that's sort of just soiled up everything back here in Australia and made that the rest of my life's work.
Mate, it's an unbelievable thing to do, and you've been there a few years now, but the numbers are still going up. I mean, how tough is the battle?
It's hectic, eh? And you're talking about one of the largest criminal industries in the world, illegal trafficking of wildlife. It's up there with drugs, human trafficking and weapons. And you're talking about some major criminal syndicates from around the world who are involved with this. So, I mean, we go out in a day's work and we're going up against guys using helicopters, automatic weapons, military tactics. So it's rough. And because we're dealing with animals, we're protecting animals, there's not always the level of protection or the level of resources available as if you're going for a normal war, really.
Yeah.
So it's sort of a different war front.
Yeah. Why rhinos in particular?
Well, we look at the rhino as the hardest animal to protect. It's a flagship species for us, for the IAPF, and what we've created. Because it's the hardest animal to protect, we know if we're protecting the rhino, we're protecting everything in that ecosystem, from the birds to the trees to the soil to the insects. Everything is being looked after. So we go out there, we use the tactics we need to get the job done, but we also soft-handed approach with subsistence poachers.
Damien, there's a lot of money in this, isn't there? I mean, the rhino horn sells for upwards of $100,000. And
yeah.
So who's buying them and who's selling them?
What does a poacher look like? A lot of it goes to the Far East, where it's used in traditional medicines. But you've even got people like celebrities, like Elle Mcpherson, who's come out publicly and said that they're using rhino horn.
Really?
Yeah, I'm serious. No, this happens.
But this is scientifically proven to be the same as toenails.
Yeah, I'll tell you, the only way that's going to work for her is if she gets that horn and straps it on. That's the only
Aren't a lot of these poachers, I mean, this is a poor country, aren't they just people wanting to put food on the table?
A lot of it is, but a lot of people know the stakes at the same time. Some of these countries have a shoot-on-sight policy for armed poachers. We've taken a bit of a step back from that and said, listen, we want to train rangers to make ethical decisions, so we focus on the escalation of the use of force. What that means is rangers are using the minimum amount of force required to get the job done. That's not to say that when the time of action comes, if we need to use it, we will.
I've got to ask, another thing that you guys do is the removal of the horns from the rhinos, which some people see as controversial, but there's a real strategy behind that.
Look, there is and there isn't, and it's something that needs to be constantly reinforced with research. In some of our areas that we've worked in, for example, we know that we can 100% dehorn every rhino.
And keep them alive.
And keep them alive.
And then they can...
And it's, I mean, you can see on the screen there now that the chainsaw going through the horn, and it's quite a hard thing to watch. But it's actually a part of an animal that you can take off without killing the animal.
So you do that and the animal survives, and then the poachers don't want the animal.
Well, see, the thing is now that the price of the horn is increasing. Now, a piece of horn which was once attractive at that length is now just as attractive at that length. So,
Damien, what you're doing is brilliant. So what can people do at home to help?
Well, we've got a fundraising music festival on this weekend in Mount Eliza, Raw. It's a family event. We've got a great lineup there. We've got Matt McHugh from the Beautiful Girls, Jeff Lang. We've got Dallas Frasco and Fireballs. So if you can get down there from 12 o'clock, there'll be heaps of people there. It's going to be an awesome day, family event. Yeah, it's going to be great. And that's the money that we raised from last year's event and the year before, we actually used to build a training academy in Zimbabwe, and we train rangers for free there. That's what we do. We train and equip rangers for free, and we've actually built a second training academy now, and this has all come from support from Australia. And that's something different that I've been able to take over to Africa. Rather than an African doing it and trying to raise funds from inside Africa, we've got an international now who's over there and creating this international attention, which is great. And there's a lot of other organisations over there who are doing an awesome job. So.
Well, you are doing an awesome job. If you want to find out more about Damien's foundation and the Raw Music Festival, sounds like a lot of fun. Just head to our website. All the details are there. Please thank Damien Mander.